Hey, this is Brian Basic, owner of Polaris Marketing Solutions. If I were to ask you as a business owner or a CEO of a company, what are your biggest assets? What would you say? You may say your people are, your technology, your processes, might be your buildings, your trucks, your equipment. But have you considered your digital assets? If you haven't, in a second here, I'm going to tell you why it's one of your most valuable assets that you'll have. Brian Basic back again. You know, a year ago, I sold my services, my cleaning services company. And I think the reason that we were able to get a premium for our company was the way that we were able to identify and value our digital assets. And so, what is a digital asset? A digital asset is any type of information in digital form that has a unique identifier that the organization can use to drive value. So I know kind of a big definition, but let me kind of go over some examples of digital assets. Number one would be any type of documentation that you would have, Word documents, presentations, spreadsheets would all be simple digital assets. Other things, videos like this video, as a matter of fact, and all the other videos that we have are considered digital assets, as would be our logos. And even our website is a huge digital asset for us. We put a lot of time and money in our website, and so that's a valuable asset that we have, as is the domain that we have to go along with our website. I can't tell you how many customers I work with that have lost control or don't have ownership rights to their domain, and so we have to go through a whole convoluted process to get that back for them. And so making sure that you keep control of that is going to be important. Other things, Google My Business Pages is another example of a digital asset that is incredibly important when it comes to ranking locally. Your Google My Business is really important. Reviews, again, is something that you have earned over years with literally hundreds of customers. You want to make sure that you list that as a digital asset as well. Mailing lists, your mailing list for your customers. If they bought from you in the past, certainly they're more prone to buy from you in the future. And so being able to utilize a mailing list is very important, and having access to that is key as well. Email campaigns and just those types of nurturing campaigns that you have for customers are built over time. And so typically you do that, you refine it, and so it certainly becomes a more valuable asset as you refine those things so that you can just basically put them into play again and they'll just continue to do well, perform well. Other things, your Facebook and Google ads. Again, when I ran my company, we did a lot of Google ads. And we refined that over the first couple of years we were doing it, and it got to be really good. And so we would turn it on and off as needed. But those ads that we built over those years were very important. And so those would be considered really key digital assets. Your QuickBooks, obviously your accounting platform, and all your data associated with that is a digital asset. As is, if you have a CRM system, all the information that you have in a CRM system, the name, address, text messages, proposals, email messages, all those kind of things are critically important with respect to being a digital asset. And so these are just a list of some of the more common ones that are out there. And so now that you have an idea of what they are, now you've got to understand, how do I protect these? And so let me give you some ideas of how to protect digital assets. Number one is go through what we just did, which is list all your digital assets and assign a value to them. Doesn't need to be a monetary value, just A, B, and C kind of thing, A being the most valuable thing. And so go through the list that we just did. You may have some other ones as well, and identify where they would be in A, B, and C. Next one is to establish ownership of these assets. I cannot tell you how many times I have had to work with customers that have lost their website, their domain, their Google My Business because it was set up by someone else, and someone else has ownership rights, and so you have to go through a process to get that back. And so establishing that as soon as you can is really important. The next thing is really to limit the access to these assets. That's a lot to say, but you want to go ahead and do that. You don't want to give ownership rights to these things away. You can do a delegate authority, you can do an admin authority, but you really want to keep the ownership and keep control of that. Make sure you change that as people come in and out of your organization. You want to make sure that you delete some folks and bring some other folks on board. Again, I work with a lot of customers that have old history there that is not good because they didn't keep track of who had access and they lost access to their assets, and that was not a good thing. Next thing is make sure you register ownership where necessary. So if you've got copyright stuff, you do that as well, but you do what you need to do to register these access, whether it's Google, GoDaddy or whatever. Make sure that you've gone through the right processes in order to make that happen. Next thing is keep the data safe. You want to make sure that you keep your IDs and your passwords somewhere where you can get access to them and other people can't. And then lastly, you want to make sure that you back everything up and you have access to these things on a regular basis. So again, digital assets have become more and more valuable over time as more and more of our business has become digital. And so it's really incumbent upon CEOs and business owners to understand what their digital assets are, protect them, and then leverage them the best they can. So if you have any other questions on this topic, please give us a phone call. We'd love to help. Thanks.